Welcome back. Today's date, November 21st, 2024. They did it. They did it. They plunged us into war. We are now pretty much in the pregame of World War III with Russia. They used the long-range missiles into Russia and they attacked them. What does this mean? Well, it means that Russia will retaliate, as I said. You can't just walk up to the biggest guy in the gym and slap him across the face and not think that he's not going to do anything. Maybe Putin will be the bigger guy and just be like, you know what? I know what's going on here. You're not dragging us in. But unfortunately, he's already came out and said it, that if anything like this happens, it's an act of war and we will retaliate. So there you have it. And if I'm not mistaken, last night he already struck targets in Ukraine with his medium-range missiles.
The further course of action will be determined based on the threats to the security of the Russian Federation. We believe that we have the right to use our weapons against military facilities of countries who allow their weapons to be used against ours. And in case of an escalation, we will act as decisively in a mirror fashion. The ruling elites of the countries are nurturing plans to use their military contingents against Russia should be warned.
I think that this is the precursor to the event that I was speaking about months ago. It seems to be. It feels and looks like this was the agenda all along if the Trump administration got elected. Basically contingency backup plans. Everything is a rich man's trick, which by the way is a great documentary. So yeah, I just can't believe it. I can't believe that the globalists and powers that be would do such a thing. But I do believe it, unfortunately. Like I said, I kind of seen it coming. I felt it long ago. There's no limits for them. They will literally blow up the world before they hand over power. We're going to see what develops in the next few days. Already, though, I don't like it. For those who don't know what a false flag is, a false flag operation is an act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility and pinning blame on another party. There's been so many false flag attacks, and that's how we get the ball rolling to get war going. Some say Pearl Harbor was a false flag attack, basically to draw us and pull us into the war, which we're not even going to get into that right now. Same as 9/11. It's just a way to pull us into a war or towards an agenda that they have. I feel now that the stage has been set. They can do anything they want. Something I've been saying literally for years, because it just makes sense that they're gonna release a nuke somewhere. I thought originally like in the States, but you never know. It could happen anywhere. And mark my words, I'm doing this for keeping on the record that we know their gig, we know their game. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna strike a target with a nuke, and then they're gonna blame the other side. They could hit anywhere and then be like, oh, it was Russia. We're at war with Russia, so they retaliated. Like, they can do anything. Some have already speculated that they could take a shot at Air Force One and then basically say, oh, it's the bad guys, it's the boogeyman, and there you have it. Like, they can do anything they want now. The stage is set. Hopefully, I'm just going to pray to the gods that I'm completely wrong on this. Some have already stated that, because Trump has completely gone off the radar the past couple of days, and some have actually stated that he might actually be meeting with Putin as we speak on a secret mission to discuss a ceasefire. And I don't know. Once again, we can be hopeful, but this is really, really, really bad stuff.
I would like to inform the Russian citizens and our friends around the world, as well as those who still nurture illusions that a strategic defeat can be inflicted against Russia, about events that are happening in the Special Military Operations Zone. I'm talking about what happened in the wake of long-range Western weapons being used in the special military operations zone. As a result of the escalation, in the United States and their NATO allies said that they give their permission to use long-range weapons against targets inside Russia. Experts know fully well, and the Russian side has underscored this time and again, that using such weapons without the direct involvement of military operators from manufacturing countries is impossible.
So he's saying the same thing. This is right from Putin himself, that he's had it. He's had it with the elites, the globalists. He's just trying to be peaceful. He didn't want missiles on his doorstep, and yet here we are. We're actually now firing missiles into his country. What do you think's going to happen? It's insane. It's truly insane. But yeah, go for it, Putin. Send it. Send it hard. In fact, if I was him, I would have blown Zelensky right off the map. No question. I never liked that guy. Now it's an act of defense. I'm going to advocate for Russia. They didn't want nothing to do with this war, and we've been provoking it since the 90s. You would be a fool to think Ukraine could have any damage on Russia. What are you doing? Russia could obliterate them overnight if they wanted to. Literally, just a couple missiles would absolutely send Ukraine into the Stone Age. The corruption is so deep, so deep. The cabal is so deep. The type of weapon system that was used can only be operated by Americans. We own the technology. We're the ones who input the data, geo-mapping, whatever they have to do to, make these things accurate and being used. The people who are trained on them are Americans, so America, NATO, is at war with Russia, and they are fully aware of this stuff. Let's take a look.
Well, on the decision of the United States to allow Ukrainian regime to use missiles up to 300 kilometers long, we read what the New York Times published about this. There are still no confirmation either from the White House or from the Pentagon, but we basically take our position on the basis of what is going on physically. And physically, ATACMS, apparently not as long as 300 kilometers, are being used, including this early morning in Russia, against the Bryansk Oblast of Russia, which is bordering Ukraine. And we proceed from the understanding that this is happening, and that any modification of ATACMS cannot be used without American experts and instructors, including satellite data, including programming and targeting. The President mentioned this several times. If long-range missiles are going to be applied from Ukraine into Russian territory, it will also mean that they are operated by American experts, military experts. And we will be taking this as a qualitatively new phase of the Western war against Russia, and we'll react accordingly.
How convenient is it that one administration is ending, they don't want the other guy in, and they're just going to dump everything on Trump? I mean, how convenient is it to have this 81 senile old man in there who barely doesn't even know his name? It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. They can just say, oh, yeah. And I'm certain he authorized it or whatever, I would assume. Regardless, it's still perfect that the dude's completely out of his mind. So who's calling the shots here? It's a great scapegoat to just be like, oh yeah, one guy's basically on his deathbed and we can just blame him. It's insane. So I guess my point is that this is This is the deep state. This is the powers that be that are calling the shots here. Everybody in the world didn't want this. Trump was already talking about de-escalation and already brokering peace deals. He literally set up the meeting already with Putin and Zelensky. The guy's not even in office yet. What is going on? Like, what is going on with the left? It's not even the left either. It's, like I said, it's the shadow government, and they are literally plunging us into a forever war, and or this could be the final war, because if things keep going like this, we will definitely see nukes happening soon. I don't know if anybody's played Fallout, but and you better start collecting your bottle caps, because I don't know what's going to happen here. It's very ugly. This is definitely by far the closest we've ever come to thermonuclear war. Such a disaster. What a disastrous freaking regime. It's got to end. And that's why they fear them so much, because the Trump administration will literally start weeding these things out. He's a man of peace. He likes to broker peace deals. We're going to have to just keep vigilant and keep doing what we do, keep putting out the news. Did you know that no war has to be declared through Congress, and we haven't declared a war since World War II. So basically every war since then has been an illegal war. The corruption is so heavy, so deep. It's not we the people. We didn't vote for this. I certainly didn't vote for this. And let the people around the world know that. As an American, from America, broadcasting from America, if you're watching this, this isn't the act of the people. In fact, if anybody who on the left or whatever, which by the way was at one point the party of peace, I guess that's out the window, but anybody who's listening, know that this isn't the people who wanted this. We wanted Trump. The majority of the country wanted Trump. We want peace. We don't want this. We never wanted to escalate this. Almost every American at this point is already disgusted with the money that we've sent over to Ukraine, and to just keep escalating it. For what? For what? Most people don't even know why we're over there. Most people don't even know we're over there. Like, what is going on? Corruption, people. Absolute corruption. These people are demons. They're political pedos. They all need to be reined in and tried and put down. I'm sorry. You got to be put down. If you're the type of leader or shadow leader or whoever you are, that you are trying to plunge the world into a world war, probably for your corporate gains or whatever the motive, you have to be put down. You are an enemy of the world. You're a demon. You're evil. You got to go. Simple as that. To be put in people's lives. Already over 1 million lives have been taken in this war for no reason whatsoever. And Elon Musk even hits on this a little bit. Like, this is absurd. Absolutely absurd. Young boys who don't know each other are fighting wars for old men who do know each other.
The reason I proposed some sort of truce or peace a year ago was because I predicted pretty much exactly what would happen, which is a lot of people dying for basically almost no changes in land, and the loss of the flower of Ukrainian and Russian youth. And we should have some sympathy for the Russian boys as well as the Ukrainian boys, because the Russian boys didn't ask to be on the front line; they have to be. So. There's a lot of sons not coming back to their parents, and I think most of them don't really they don't hate the other side. It's sort of like, there's this saying about, like this saying comes from World War I. It's like young boys who don't know each other killing each other on behalf of old men that do know each other.
So to recap a little bit, we have over 300 biolabs around the world, over 30 of them in Ukraine. They are working on things such as anthrax and cholera and all these powerful diseases, some even Ebola. They want to bring Ebola back. And gain of function is essentially them strengthening the pathogens and strengthening the viruses to a almost weapon form. Very convenient, right? And why are we working on these things? This is insane. Once again, like demons, absolute demon people. Somebody's got to put an end to it. Somebody's got to put an end. And that's what already the Russians have confirmed and found, and they're going to be researching more into it. I said that in a previous podcast that like this was the actual pretext of a lot of these things. They were plotting and planning and have released bioweapons out of labs, such as labs in Ukraine and Wuhan. But anyway, I digress on that. Maybe we'll cover that one in another one. But I just wanted to get the word out on what's essentially happening in the current affairs as of today.
Были обнаружены порядка 240 различных болезнетворных субстанций различного плана. Мы их исследуем и продолжаем исследовать. Большая часть из них касается сибиро-язвенной болезни, значит, холеры. У нас нет сомнений, что они работают над усилением функций не только на территории Украины, больше они работают на территории Соединенных Штатов Америки, потому что технологии это очень такие своеобразные. Ну, например, Бостонский университет когда-то с ним тоже сотрудничал Украина и продолжает сотрудничать именно по этому направлению.
Just to tap on it a little bit, there's still struggling out in North Carolina. People are reporting that there are warehouses of bodies, unidentified, stacked up. So much is going on over there, completely unreported. The news has completely sold us out, which, by the way, it's the end for them. They're already making changes already in this very moment. They're trying to restructure things. They're pulling certain news stations soon off the air, and you're gonna see a major restructuring because they've now lost the info war.
You see the absurdity that American citizens are getting their 750 and then, yes, struggling through a very complicated process to meet the thresholds necessary to get the aid they need to have housing, food, and shelter, while your agency is contracting with not-for-profits to easily hand out access to those who are here, placed here illegally. Do you see the absurdity?
Congressman, our mission is to support people, help people before, during, and after disasters. And
do you think that there is, ma'am, do you think in responding to an emergency, the priority of government ought to be to ensure that American citizens are triaged and that the services of FEMA are focused on responding to them and their service programs first?
I absolutely believe that the services that FEMA provides should be supporting the people that have been impacted by disasters.
Should there be equity in that distribution and response? Should there be fairness in that response?
We should make sure that all people have access to our programs and that we remove
Fair enough.
The barriers.
So this is my time and I get 2 minutes to do it. So in fairness, do you not see the inequity in those placed here illegally having taxpayers support a plane ticket, a house, a hotel, food, cell phones, access to health care? Do you not see the inequity that they have access immediately?
It's showing the betrayal of our government, what they've done to our own people, just once again exposing themselves. This is the truth. The truth is in action. They're showing you, they're exposed. They can't hide it anymore. The floodgates are open. The truth is coming, whether they like it or not.
I want us to be a welcoming nation, but if we cannot respond to those who are living in emergencies, then we do not have the right to claim that we are the Federal Emergency Management Administration. Do you not see the inequity?
Congress directed.
No, Congress established law. You have to prioritize, triage, and decide. During COVID, there were federal agencies and local governments who were responsible for providing lots of services. We said, in this emergency, you're not going to do that. We told federal employees, get back out onto the ground because you've got to respond to a public health pandemic, and most of them were never involved in public health response. You established the priority. Why can you not say today that the priority ought to have been to make sure that American citizens were getting first response, adequate response, and not distracted response? Why can you not say that?
Our priority is the American people, and we administered our disaster programs.
And you will not admit to or acknowledge the inequities. I'm not trying to be combative. This is absurd. Today, when you spent some time and my colleagues talk about misinformation, first, misinformation is freedom of speech, whether it's true or not. But you know what fuels misinformation? The inequity that FEMA has engaged in. Because it allows for people to assume, whether true or not, a level of either incompetence, inefficiency, or lack of concern for those who are struggling the most when they see individuals enter this country illegally and then are transported here and receiving services. And you know that it is easier to access the shelter and services funding than it is to access disaster relief aid, housing assistance, small business aid. You know that it's more complicated. Doesn't that in and of itself fuel the misinformation?
Congressman, we are administering that program as directed by Congress.
You are not administering the program as directed by Congress. We establish the law, we establish the provisions, and we expect the person, whether it's the president or the administrator of FEMA, to decide what is and is not priority in response to emergency. And by that very measure, with all due respect, the agency has failed. And it has lost focus. My time is up. I yield back to the chairman.
What a disgrace. What a disgrace. I wouldn't even be like questioning these people. It's like, oh, this is what's happened. This is what you've done. All right. You're gone. Or to the gallows you go, because these are treasonous terrorists. These are the people that are supposed to be protecting us, our watchdogs. And they've absolutely sold us out. Absolutely sold us out. I can't stress it anymore. Like, what more proof do you want or need? It's all right there. The news has lied to us. They cover it up. The agenda's wide open. It's time we fight back. Keep up the good work, patriots. Thank you so much, Elon, for essentially, practically saving the world. Literally, with opening up X and uncensoring it and letting people see the real truth, the real news. Some of these clips will never air on other platforms. So thank the gods that he's fighting the good fight. This guy's going to go down in history as a full-blown patriot. Watch. Mark my words on that. So talking about North Carolina, let's keep bringing this into light. They need help over there. If you're in the area, if you're in the surrounding towns, cities, states, check into it, check on them, because this is an absolute catastrophe. And we've essentially sold out our people. We're too busy worrying about finding squirrels, pet squirrels. We're too busy trying to stop World War III. We're too busy trying to coddle and embrace all the illegal immigrants, which, by the way, they get massive funds, and North Carolina is still absolutely devastated. It's a nuclear wasteland over there. This is so sad and unpatriotic. Evil. It's just evil. What is the government doing? What are you doing? And I'm not one for violence. I really, I've moved past that in my life. But it seems that if this power goes unchecked, it just absolutely does whatever it wants. Evil needs to be checked. So moving along, moving forward, some things I've mentioned in the other podcast, I keep discussing the over 300,000 children are missing. This is the new pick for the border czar that Trump plans on putting in. So just take a quick listen as to what he's got to say. A lot of people fear this guy. There's nothing to fear. He's a good pick. Here we go. Take a listen.
We got three rails of business, Lawrence. First of all, we got to secure the border. We know how to do that. We've done it before. Second of all, we need to run this deportation operations. The president's been clear. Out of the gate, we're going to focus on public safety threats and national security threats first. And fugitives, those who crossed the border legally, had great due process at great taxpayer expense, were ordered removed by an immigration judge and didn't leave. They're also a priority. And third rail, we got to find over 300,000 children that were released into this country to so-called sponsors that the government can't find. We also got to find them children and try to save them.
Out of the horse's mouth. And you know what? That's beautiful news. Like I said, it's like who's taking charge of this? What's going on? Is there anything going on? And apparently it's gonna be right on the forefront that they're gonna try to find those children, and that's a blessing from the gods right there. So this guy's Tom Homan, is going to be the new border czar, like I said, and great pick, great choice. They don't like him at all. Just like Matt Gaetz, they do not like that dude. I think he actually just stepped out. I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna look a little bit further into that, but they've been applying massive pressure on this guy. They feared him so hard, which everything I've seen on him, he's actually a brilliant man. He's very smart, and he was going after corruption like right off the bat. That's why Trump picked him. But I think as of today, he dropped out of the attorney general spot. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'm gonna look further into it. But take a clip and watch this guy in action, and you'll probably see why they don't want him.
So where is it? The laptop.
Sir, I'm not here to talk about the laptop. I'm here to talk about the FBI cyber program.
You are the assistant director of FBI cyber. I want to know where Hunter Biden's laptop is. Where is it?
Sir, I don't know that answer.
And not for nothing, I want to know where that laptop is, too. Let's go. Let's go.
That is astonishing to me. Has FBI Cyber assessed whether or not Hunter Biden's laptop could be a point of vulnerability, allowing America's enemies to hurt our country?
Sir, the FBI Cyber program is based off of what's codified in Title 18, or Title 18, Section 1030, a code which talks about computer intrusions, right, using nefarious intent network.
Well, you've talked about passwords here. I mean, Hunter Biden's password on his laptop was Hunter02. He drops it off at a repair store. I'm holding the receipt from Max Computer Repair, where in December 2019, they turned over this laptop to the FBI. And what now you're telling me right here is that as the assistant director of FBI Cyber, you don't know where this is after it was turned over to you 3 years ago.
Yes, sir, that's an accurate statement.
Of course I don't know where it is. Well, why would I know? I'm only in charge of it all. Like, but I lost it. Oopsie. Oopsie. What are you going to do, right? That's basically what they are. Like, it's basically what they're saying. What are you going to do about it?
How are Americans supposed to trust that you can protect us from the next colonial pipeline if it seems that you can't locate a laptop that was given to you 3 years ago from the first family, potentially creating vulnerabilities for our country?
Sir, it's not in the purview of my investigative responsibilities.
But that is shocking that you wouldn't, as the assistant director of cyber, know whether or not there are international business deals, kickbacks, shakedowns that are on this laptop that would make the first family suspect to some sort of compromise. Mr. Assistant Director, have you assessed whether or not the first family is compromised as a result of the Hunter Biden laptop?
Sir, as a representative of the FBI cyber program, it is not in the realm of my responsibilities to deal with the questions that you're asking me.
Has anyone at FBI cyber been asked to make assessments whether or not the laptop creates a point of vulnerability?
Sir, we have multiple lines of investigative responsibility in the FBI. They're all available in public source.
Well, I would think you'd know this one. I mean, I would think that if the president's son, who does international business deals, referencing the now president with the Chinese, with Ukrainians, I mean, have you assessed whether or not the Hunter Biden laptop gives Russia the ability to harm our country?
Sir, again, we can do this back and forth for the next couple of minutes. I don't have any information about the Hunter Biden laptop or the
But should you? I mean, you're the assistant director of FBI cyber.
By the block and line chart, no, sir, I should not.
Who should we put in that chair to ask questions about this laptop that FBI has had for 3 years?
Sir, I'm not in a position to make a recommendation who should say.
So you don't have it, you don't know who has it, you don't know where it is, you're the assistant director. You know, earlier you talked about whether or not you were the Grant Hill or the Christian Laettner. It sounds like you're the Chris Webber trying to call a timeout when you don't have one. So I mean, who is it? Do you even know who has it? Do you know who we should put in that chair to ask these questions to?
No, sir, I don't know who has it.
Well, could you find out and tell us? You're going to have to give us briefings, thanks to Mr. Liu and Mr. Massey's question about whether or not the FBI was taking a $5 million test drive on the Pegasus system that was being used to target people in politics, people in government, people in the media, people in American life. So will you commit to give us a briefing as the assistant director of FBI cyber as to where the laptop is, whether or not it's a point of vulnerability, whether or not the American people should wonder whether or not the first family is compromised?
Sir, I'd be happy to take your request back to our office.
What an absolute dog and pony show. I'm sorry, but like this guy, the CIA cyber director, like he works for us. And what side is he on? It's totally blatant right now. Like you can see it.
Gosh, I mean, will you advocate for that briefing? As in, you will?
I will be happy to take your request back to FBI headquarters.
Well, do you believe that that is a briefing that the Congress is worthy of having, I guess?
Sir, I'm not going to answer that question. Right? I'm here to talk. The invitation, sir, the invitation says oversight of the FBI's cyber division. It does not say anything.
Well, right, but I mean, this is a cyber asset. This is a point of vulnerability. If there are passwords, if there are business deals, if there are references to things that could harm our country, like you can't even sit here right now and say that you know that there's not a point of vulnerability. Maybe there are other crimes, maybe there are tax issues or whatever, but as it relates to our, I mean, is the first family sufficient cyber infrastructure to protect? You don't even know if they're compromised. Tell you what, Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record of this committee the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, which I'm in possession of.
It's totally blatant what side he's on. He's protecting the Bidens. He's protecting the information that was uncovered on that laptop. And that in itself is a huge, huge story. I don't even think Joe Biden wouldn't even have got in if the story actually broke. That's why they suppressed it. These are the things that I was getting banned on Facebook for bringing into light, or even just like reposting. Didn't even have an opinion. I just reposted certain things and I was getting banned. So see the cabal of people and corporations and companies, demonic companies that are protecting these psychopaths. It's unacceptable. This guy right here should be tried. Treason. You're protecting the enemy. Sorry. You got to go. Try him. It's just, it's so sad even watching some of these answers. It's ridiculous. It's like, dude, such corruption. Matt Gaetz is awesome. This guy is awesome. All the clips I've watched from him, they're epic. But he makes so many valid points, and this guy's got nothing for him. Absolutely nothing. It's such a debacle of our republic. It's disgusting. And people like this need to be put on trial. So yeah, that's why they are putting the grinder to Matt Gaetz. They don't want this guy in because this guy's a fireball. I love him. Regardless of what you're going to probably hear on the news, I've already seen some dumb stuff come out, and it's just like, whatever. Propaganda at its finest. So this next clip is one of the guys who was involved with the documentary that exposes the child trafficking of America in the Biden administration. So let's take a listen to that.
After several exhaustive months of filming, interviewing, and then editing this documentary, I state without reservation that the United States federal government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history. The probability that thousands of these UACs are being raped at this very moment is 100%. Chairman Higgins, Ranking Member Correa, Chairman Bishop, Ranking Member Ivey, and the members of the subcommittee, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the evil of child trafficking caused by the open border policies under President Joe Biden and his administration. I served in the United States Border Patrol for 24 years until I retired as a Deputy Patrol Agent in charge in San Diego sector. I worked under 5 presidential administrations, and only one president secured the border, President Donald Trump. Border Patrol agents went from working and being supported by the greatest border president in American history to the worst, President Joe Biden. My last year in the Border Patrol was Joe Biden's first year in office. On his first day in office, I watched in disbelief as 94 executive orders cascaded down from Washington, D.C., obliterating every immigration policy that had been provided the most secure border in America's history. Border Patrol agents were forced to carry out unconstitutional orders that violated every law in the Immigration Nationality Act. President Biden, through Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, created policy out of thin air, ignored federal immigration law, and facilitated the largest mass invasion into America that the world has ever seen.
I've told you, I've been telling you, and this isn't a topic that anybody wants to hear or listen to. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to say it. And I've been railing on this for over 10 years. I don't know. It's unbelievable. But Biden really blew it wide open. So let's continue.
The United States of America will have spent hundreds of billions of dollars in 4 years to fund the needs of over 50 million illegal aliens that populate our nation. Between 1 in 6 and 1 in 7 residents in America is an illegal alien. America has suffered the greatest demographic shift in modern history. After serving in the United States Border Patrol for 24 years, spending a year researching and writing a best-selling book entitled Invaded, The Intentional Destruction of the American Immigration System, and filming 2 documentaries, I state with complete certainty that Biden, Harris, and Mayorkas intentionally, strategically, and purposely weaponized illegal immigration and used it as a tool to fundamentally transform America. Inside this invasion, the unspoken evil of child trafficking, and more specifically, child sex trafficking, has flourished. At the end of this current administration, the number of children trafficked will have grown to over 550,000 unaccompanied alien children known as UACs. This horrific number of children will have been arrested, released into America, and then lost. To put this into context, during President Trump's last year in office, Customs and Border Protection arrested 30,557 UACs who were accounted for and not lost. Conversely, in the first year of Biden's presidency, CBP arrested 147,975 UACs, most of which are unaccompanied for and lost. In 2023, Congressional Hearings, Health and Human Services, Javier Becerra, and Director of Office of Refugee Resettlement, Robin Marcos, forced to admit that their agency had no contact with over 85,000 UACs. They were lost. What did DHS, HHS, and ORR do to correct this humanitarian disaster? Nothing. In fact, all 3 agencies created further policies and procedures to increase the efficiency of moving UACs from the border to the interior of the United States to unknown and unvetted sponsors. Unaccompanied alien children were being handed off to total strangers. Then they disappeared into the darkness of labor and sex trafficking. In fact, a year later, in August of 2024, the Inspector General, with oversight over DHS, issued a report stating the number lost UACs was not 85,000, it was over 320,000. My business partner, Ryan Matta, and I spent 6 months traveling across America, filming a documentary titled, What is Treason Trafficked? The evil of child sex trafficking is difficult to digest and understand. However, after conducting numerous interviews with officers, agents, and whistleblowers from every alphabet agency and department, it was made clear to us that the federal government knowingly and actively facilitated these criminal acts.
So disgusting, is it not? So disgusting. A lot of people have brought this to light long ago. They've gotten suppressed. They don't want you to know this stuff, and it's up to us to just keep shining the light on these extremely dark topics. It's absolutely disgusting. There's no words for it. As I said earlier, this is pure evil. This is an evil regime. They're a cult. There's so many heads to the snake, to the Hydra. I'm just going to pray to the gods that the Trump administration is going to start cutting heads off, because this is so beyond out of control. It's so deep. It's so corrupt. Something has to break here. It's time. It's absolutely time that we fight back. And I think we are. We're doing good. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. I'm going to leave you with this last clip. Bill O'Reilly, which I don't even like that guy. He's just driving it home. What I've been saying now for a little while is that the prostitute news is absolutely done. They are so done. Good. You get what you deserve.
Comcast said, you two, we're going to have to try to mend some cliche fences, and you two are going to go in there and you're going to try to tamp it down. Because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is vapor. That is a huge meteor story.
Why is it vapor? Just because they're spinning it off and putting them in the... They're spinning off a bunch of brands.
There's no spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying
people?
what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here it comes.
Please.
So they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News. That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you around. Why? Because NBC News' numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC and they won't watch. So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard. They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left. But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that. And you know what's next? The View. ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sunny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment. The lawyers get Whoopi Goldberg's ear and it said, we're bringing a statement in on a teleprompter. She reads it. So it is over for these far left networks. Done, never coming back. Dracula's stake in the heart. Who benefits? News Nation may, but CNN, which is on the ropes too, will probably get some MSNBC viewers.
Wow.
There you go.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm certainly not going to accuse him of not making sense.
Yeah. Good riddance. Good riddance to MSNBC, NBC, CNN, The View. Whew, gone. All these far left extreme news groups gotta go. They're nothing but full of hate, rhetoric, racism, bigotry, everything, you name it. All the Marxist agenda. It's all gotta go. And once again, they've exposed themselves. They're in too deep now. You can't hide it. People know. New platforms are arising. X is now in power again. The people are back in power. So it's there's that, and that's a good thing. So good job, Patriots. Keep up the good fight. I'm going to try to keep bringing this stuff to you as fast as I can. It's changing daily. If you like this information and you want to help and support this channel, please like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, get the word out, have discussion. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Valhalla.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die! And these shields, boys! Remember this day, man, for it will be yours for all time!